Well, hello everybody. We are popping these videos out. Listen, we're back like we never left. This time we're here to talk about UFC 325, baby. Big things coming. Two back-to-back numbered events. Remember, don't say pay-per-views anymore because that's not what they are. Two back-to-back numbered events. Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes Dos. We have to say Dos because Diego Lopes is of the Latin descent, even though this fight card is being taking place in Australia. So, anyways, we're gonna jump right into it, guys. I'm gonna start with the main event because that's what we do here on this channel, and then we're gonna go down to the first fight on the prelims. Okay, I did a little bit more research on this one. I've had some time off. I lost my wallet. No bueno, because I drive a lot for work, so it's unfortunate I can't work right now. Because in Florida, if you get caught without your license, especially someone that looks like me, um, I may I may be spending the night in jail. So I don't want that. So here we are, popping videos out, baby. Okay. So listen, Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Listen, the same thing's gonna happen like the first fight. A lot of people are saying that they're booking these fights back to back so Diego Lopes can beat Volk. A lot of people are worried that Volk is going to retire, and the UFC wants a champion like Diego Lopes in to kind of get a title reign, which I don't even not even certain that he would. To be honest, he lost to Masvar. I mean, you got guys like John Silva who gave him a war before their fight ended. You got guys like Aljo, which he's older. Lauren Murphy, I don't think Lauren could beat him, but Lauren is technical. I don't know about that one. Lauren is a technical motherfucker. Okay, Lerone Murphy is technical and could give Diego Lopes problems. Very clean, technical striker. You know, I mean, has the ability to grapple, things like that. So, I mean, obviously, Yair's there, and Yair, we know what his kicking game looks like. We know Diego Lopes would probably try and strike with him, so anything can happen there. I mean, you got guys like Steve Garcia coming up. You got Yusuf Zalal. These are clean, precise, precision strikers, which I think can give Diego Lopes real problems. You know what I mean? Because that's what we saw in the first fight. Volk was just very technical. He was faster. He had better grappling. Volk's grappling is very, very, very not underrated, but you know, people need to take heed to that. I mean, he got Diego Lopes. He out grappled Diego Lopes in that first fight. Now he wasn't able to like keep him down for extended periods of time and like dominate him on the ground or anything like that. But when he needed to rely on grappling to kind of maybe slow Diego down a little bit, keep Diego from marching forward a little bit, we saw Volk do that. We saw Volk lean, dig into his bag, but Volk was just the jab, precise, the leg kicks, the in and out, the 1-2. You know what I'm saying? Stunned Diego Lopes several times. Listen, the first round, you could see the speed differential advantage that Volk had. You could see it. You could see it. And in the second round, outside of Volk getting caught at the end of the round, he won that round. He won, you know, and then listen, I'm not going to lie. Diego Lopes did start to did realize, okay, you know what? I'm not about to get knocked out by any of these punches. So I'm going to start marching forward. The issue with that is that I think for the first, Volk has good cardio. So Volk knows that Diego's game plan is going to, okay, I can eat Volk's punches. I'm going to march forward and I'm going to knock him out. Right? That works if Volk doesn't have a tremendous speed advantage and a grappling advantage. I think Volk's a better grappler. So rounds 1, 2, 3. What if Volk doesn't get caught in the second round of that fight? You know what I mean? Now it's a landslide, 4-1. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah. So I think Volk's just gonna have the speed advantage early, and long enough. He's to be able to win 3, 4, maybe even. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's gonna sweep with Diego because Diego's just very dangerous, and any punch that lands can really knock Volk out. But you could see Volk was able to dart in and out without getting touched way too many times for me to pick Diego Lopes. So with him having the speed advantage and him landing, you know what? How many strikes? Let me do some little digging right now. Um, I want to see how much he outstruck him by in the first fight. So when you look at it, Volk landed 165. He more than doubled Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez landed 71 strikes. Significant strikes, Volk 158, Diego 63. That's a speed advantage. That is a guy. That is a speed advantage. Diego Lopez, uh, 71 strikes. He landed 35% of his strikes, while Volk landed 62% of his strikes. You see what I'm saying? It's just way faster, way more precise. Um, the footwork of Volk, circling to his right, circling away from the power hand, worked wonders for him. That with him coming in and out, landing that jab. You know what I'm saying? Landing those leg kicks. He was able to have his way. You know, and I think this was a more decisive victory than people think. We saw vintage Volk in there in that first round. Now, you know, maybe a couple years ago, Volk finishes him. Nah. Yeah, I don't know about finish. Nah, he's not finishing Diego Lopez. But maybe a couple years ago, Volk has a more dominant victory. Sure, you know what I'm saying. But Volk looked very. He still looked way faster. Levels. He looked levels, but in the numbers tell you that. Takedowns, Volk had one. He outstruck him. He more than doubled him in strikes. He had a takedown. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, sure, Diego had a knockdown, but, you know, outside of that knockdown, what did Diego do? Nothing. Volk comfortably won this fight, which is why it's like even more surprising that, like, what did they see that made them think that, like, yes, I'm not gonna lie, as the fight went on, Volk started to, you saw, but you know, at the natural slowdown as he works his way into the fight. And you know the feint, you know, his feint game, man. Volk's feint game is next level, next level. You know, and you could just tell Diego just didn't know where the punches were coming from, the angles Volk was coming in from. Diego just didn't know where the punches were coming from, and he's not going to know in this next fight. Volk is goaded, man. He reminded us because I'm not gonna lie to you. I came into the last fight and I knew the fight was gonna happen the way it did. I knew Volk was gonna have the speed advantage. I knew that Volk was going to kind of style on Diego. But I thought, okay, all it takes is one, and Diego's just gonna knock him out because Volk's chin is going, and Volk's chin hasn't been the best. In his last two fights, obviously he's fought two killers in Islam and Taporia. And I thought, you know, Diego is a very powerful, very fast striker, and I thought that Diego was going to be able to touch him at least once, which he did. But you know, we saw Volk, a well-rested Volk, took time off. And when did they fight? This was the last time they fought was let me see here. This was April of last year. So it was April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You know what I'm saying? Basically 8 months. Basically 8 months since Volk has fought. So Volk's again well rested. Diego, we know, has fought in between. Diego's a younger guy. I don't think the him fighting a Gene Silva, although he did eat some bombs. Again, Volk doesn't have the power, near the power of Gene Silva. So I don't think that Volk is going to be able to put Diego away if Gene Silva can do it. When Gene Silva was throwing everything into those punches. You know what I'm saying? If Gene Silva is not going to knock out Volk, I don't think that, knock out Diego, I don't think Volk is. So, yeah. But, you know, listen, again, everything that I said before with the advantages that Volk had, the speed advantage. Volk has the fight IQ, right? And you could see the way he sets up his every feint, every, like, when he feints, he's level changing, right? And that works because Volk has that grappling advantage that I talked about. Everything he does, you know, it's almost like, okay, I'm gonna keep Diego on his toes. And I think, and the thing about it is, while Diego I think it's going to be a very similar fight. Towards the end of the fight, you're going to see Diego marching forward, as Volk kind of like not necessarily slows but settles in, right? Settles in a little bit more. Diego's gonna be more apt to like march forward because maybe the takedowns when they're slippery, maybe the takedowns that are the body lock or the clench work that Volk uses isn't as successful a little bit later into the fight, like the fourth, fifth rounds. You start to see Diego start to really march forward, right? But you know, rounds one, two, three, me, I mean, I think Volk is just gonna be picking him apart, and that's what he did. So we're gonna go through it. The level change, the feints, right? The level changes, that feint uppercut, that feint jab, that feint level change. Volk uses those things masterfully. You can see why he is top five. I mean, and this is why it's frustrating that they gave him Diego again, because if you watch that first fight, the second time you watch it, you realize even more that this wasn't not really that close of a fight. You realize even more, and so let me see here. It was what did they was it yeah, unanimous decision. So when the second time you watch it, you realize outside of Volk, Diego landed that dropping Volk that one time, and he did have a couple punches that landed that threw Volk a little bit, got him off balance a little bit. But outside of those a few strikes, Diego had absolutely nothing for Volk, nothing. You see what I'm saying? So that's why this is so frustrating when we saw that they booked this fight again, because it's like they know that okay, we we have Diego Lopes in there for 5 rounds. Maybe he doesn't get a knockout, but if you give him 10 rounds of Volk, okay, maybe now you have a knockout. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like it's just like, okay, let's give him as many rounds as possible to try and get a knockout. And it's just I just can't, like, I think first of all, Volk felt Diego. Okay, so we need to understand that. So outside of the beautifully executed first fight that Volk had, we have to understand that the second fight, Volk felt Diego in the first fight. So now, after feeling Volk, he now knows that he can go into this second fight understanding Diego better, understanding, his approach better. Because I don't see where Diego is gonna change. He's not a great striker in the way of letting his hands go. He's a very powerful, very fast, very strong, athletic guy. But what can Diego go out there and do differently in this next fight versus Volk? Outside of, like, I mean, he's literally relying on catching Volk. That's what he needs to do to win this fight. So what, you know what I mean? He's not gonna let his hands go on some boxing combination type shit. He's not gonna throw head kicks and he's not about to take Volk down and beat him up on the ground like he did Gene Silva. It's not happening. So with that being said, talk to me in the comments. You let me know what Diego Lopes can do better in this fight. It's simply throw Diego in there with Volk for as many rounds as possible for him to catch Volk and actually put Volk away, right? But with Volk taking the 8 months, right, since he lost Fat Diego, and then we saw a rejuvenated Volk in his last fight when he fought Diego and won the belt back. We saw a rejuvenated Volk. Now you're giving him another 8 months to be fully rested, to be to recover his brains, as mentally and physically, because we know the grind that a training camp has on your body. So now he's fully mentally rested, physically rested, mentally prepared, physically prepared, not overworked. A genius in the fight game that's already felt this same opponent less than a year ago, knows his tendencies, knows what he's good at. I don't see Diego. The thing about Diego is like, are you gonna cage cut better? No, you're not gonna cage cut better. You can't, because Volk's footwork is elite of the elite. The only thing that Volk, he has stunning power. But if he had KO power, Volk would be the greatest fighter of all time. Hands down easily. Because even versus Topuria, he was tagging Topuria the fuck up. Until if Volk had the KO power to knock Topuria out, he would have. Because he was hitting Topuria much more than Topuria was hitting him. But it's just, that's where Volk's downfall is. He just doesn't have the KO power. So he's not going to KO Diego Lopes. But every single thing outside of that, speed, footwork, boxing, kicking, leg kicks, everything he's better at than Diego. Every single thing. You tell me where Diego's going to come into this fight and adjust. Is he going to cage cut? No, his footwork is not near what Volk's is. He's not going to be able to cut a cage cut. His cardio, he has good cardio, but we've seen Diego Lopes show cardio issues in the past. We've seen it. We've never seen that shit with Volk. So his cardio isn't better. Footwork isn't better. Speed isn't better. The only thing Diego has on Volk is power. That's legitimately the only thing. And I'm not sitting here saying that Topuria doesn't have technique, but I don't think that his all-around game, right, striking, is what Volk's is. Because Topuria, because he understands the nuclear threat that he has in the power that he has in his hands, he understands that all he needs is a good setup. So he's very, very technical. He's very, very precise. And so he knows it's just a matter of time before a clean, precise shot lands. Diego is just like throwing shit. He's like, all right, one of these just needs to land, and hopefully it lands. You know what I mean? There's no real setup. There's no real like, okay, I'm feinting here because I'm about to do this next. It's not like that with Diego. Like that's why Topuria beat Volk, because Topuria, he does a lot of things well. You know what I mean? But like, again, Volk is so good that Volk even was outstriking Topuria, if that makes sense. So I leave off with saying this. We're going to go on to the next one because Volk's going to win this by decision. He's going to win this fight by decision. And there's no amount of times that they can throw Diego in there with Volk for anything to change. Sorry. It's just not going to happen, man. So, yeah, on to the next one. We got Zan Hooker versus BSD Benoit Denis, yeah? I think this is going to be... I don't see how Dan Hooker wins this fight, man. BSD is a very, very good... Benoit Denis is a very good grappler. I don't know that he's Armin good, because Armin's fucking good. But BSD is very good. And I think that Dan Hooker, we saw him struggle with not just Armin, man. You know what I'm saying? We've seen him struggle before with other grapplers. And so I can't sit there and see what's gonna be different. Like Gamrot took him down. You know what I'm saying? Claudio Puelles. If Claudio Puelles is taking you down, bro, I'm sorry. BSD is about to have his way. And I think BSD is very, very good at grappling. Very, very good. Again, I don't know that he's Armin good, but he's very good. Showed real, obviously he's very powerful as well. So he showed real, and we know that Dan Hooker likes to slug, and I can see Dan Hooker like welcoming some sort of like slug match where, like where BSD kicks him with one of those body kicks, or we know BSD's body kicks are lethal. You know what I'm saying? So, I think BSD it's the path of least resistance is the takedown, but that's not all. I think Dan Hooker is by far the better striker, but Dan Hooker gets hit a lot. It's not something where he's gonna just outclass BSD, I think, on the feet. Because Mauricio Huffy couldn't outclass BSD on the feet. Mauricio Huffy is a very, very good striker. But I think that what BSD does is he's very good at pressuring, and I liked his game plan. It was very calculated versus Mauricio Huffy. Everybody thought he was just going to get picked apart, but he came in, utilized the grappling to get to the strikes. You know what I'm saying? And just really dog walked Mauricio Huffy. He didn't let Mauricio Huffy gain any type of advantage or like build any type of momentum. And that's what's going to happen versus Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker, like again, Claudio Puelles was able to put you in danger on the ground. When not just and listen, Claudio Puelles, we know he's a jiu-jitsu guy, okay? But you should be starching Claudio Puelles garbage, man. As far as UFC caliber opponents, Dan Hooker was struggling with that guy. Got held down. I think he knocked him out in like the second round or something. I just can't see where his takedown defense is not good enough to where, and now he was able to get back up versus a Gamrot, who's we know is one of the best, probably the best wrestler in the division. But the issue is BSD is way better at keeping guys on the ground. So BSD is a very good offensive threat off his back. We saw the ground and pound. He was beating the dog shit out of Mauricio Huffy on the ground. And we've seen this with his other opponents. His ground and pound is very, very good. Very good. You see what I'm saying? So that top pressure is going to give Dan Hooker problems. He gets Dan Hooker to the ground. Now Dan Hooker has more to worry about than like Gamrot. You get to the ground, you're good. It's just a matter of time before you get back up. BSD has top pressure that Gamrot doesn't have. BSD has top pressure that's way better than Claudio Puelles. BSD has a submission threat. BSD is very offensive on the ground. And he's going to blitz through Dan Hooker, get him on the ground, and he's going to suffocate him. He's not going to let Dan Hooker get anything off. And I think he's going to maul him. You give BSD another grappler. I really think that for BSD, it's gonna take your maxes. It takes your Dustin Poiriers. It's gonna take your Justin Gaethjes. It's gonna take those are the type of guys that are gonna beat BSD because they're very good at staying on their feet. Uh, Dustin's is very well rounded. So while BSD was able to get him down, Dustin found his way back to his feet. Dustin's a dog. You know what I'm saying? But I think Armin is very similar. Armin would be able to withstand and stay safe versus a BSD. I think Justin Gaethje would give BSD a lot of problems. I don't know how. Like I said, Justin Gaethje isn't the greatest defending. If BSD gets him to the ground, he may submit him right away. But that's when he gets into the ground. You know what I mean? Justin Gaethje will give him problems before that's concerned. Before that happens, Justin Gaethje would give him problems. You know what I'm saying? So I think it would take those level of guys. Maybe a Rafael Fiziev would give him a lot of problems because Fiziev is not easy to take down. It takes guys like that, in my opinion. Like a Charles Oliveira would beat the brakes off of BSD. I think BSD is similar to like a Patty, where just outside the top 5, he can beat most of those guys. Just like that, but I don't see BSD getting inside the top 5 and running ship against anybody. I think Max beats him. I think that Charles beats him. I think Charles beats him very badly. I think Charles would submit him and choke him the fuck out. I think that Max would beat him, like I said. I think Justin would beat him. I think that Taporia would kill him. I think that Armin would beat him. You know what I mean? These I think so, and you see what I'm saying when I say that. I think right outside that level, even Fiziev I think would give him a lot of problems. But that might be when he could win. But a Dan Hooker, Mauricio Huffy type of guys, I think he beats. So yeah, I just think this fight's really not that much to break down. Dan Hooker just isn't going to be able to stop the takedowns. Mauricio BSD is going to beat the shit out of him on the ground. And that's just what we're going to see. Armin Hooker, uh, you know, maybe not as good of an Armin, a little lesser of an Armin versus Hooker, part two. Essentially what this is. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if Hooker does give him a little bit of resistance, and BSD has a little bit of struggle. But I mean, BSD's chain wrestling is proven. He's very aggressive. He's offensive on the ground. You know what I mean? So I think he's gonna be able to get there and just finish the fight. I see a second round, late second round TKO, ground and pound. On to the next one, Mauricio Huffy versus Rafael Fiziev. This is a very, 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 very hard fight to break down. Now, here's what I'm gonna say. I think that these are two very high level guys on the feet, very high level. But I think the difference is gonna come down to the range. And if you look at this is what I mean. If you look at Mauricio Huffy, right? So he's 5'11", Fiziev is 5'8". He has a 75-inch reach. Fiziev has a 71.5-inch reach. I think that's what's going to win the fight for Mauricio Huffy. He's a ranger guy. They're both incredibly fast, great timing. They both are very, very good strikers. But I just think that Mauricio Huffy has the height and reach advantage, and that is what is going to separate two elite strikers. They're both very, very elite. You know what I mean? Are going to beat most guys on the feet. But when you get two guys that are that elite, you have to start looking at the things that are the small things that are going to separate. Now, Rafael Fiziev can implement a grappling style, but that's not what he does. It's just not. So for us to see Fiziev go in there and start chain wrestling, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he may implement it a little bit. You know what I mean? But it's just, I can't see a world where that's his game plan. And listen, let me tell you this. Even Mauricio Huffy versus BSD, we saw Mauricio Huffy stuff takedowns. We saw him reverse and do sweeps and, get reversals and things like that. So it's not like Mauricio Huffy is completely a fish out of water. I can see Mauricio Huffy stuffing Rafael Fiziev's takedowns. I can 100% see that. So I think Rafael Fiziev, who we have seen have cardio issues in the past, same thing with Mauricio Huffy. I think it would be a mistake for him to come in here and think that he could use a grappling game. But I think he would get exhausted and KO'd in the second round. I think he's gonna get KO'd though, man. I think Mauricio Huffy understands that he has to. Now Fiziev is very fast. Can I see Fiziev landing a switch kick and folding Huffy? Yeah. But I think that Huffy's going to be dialed in, very dialed in. I think he's going to understand that, listen, I need to get an impressive victory here to get back on, the UFC pushing me. I think we're going to see Mauricio Huffy finish Rafael Fiziev. I'm going to say early third round. Early third round, he's going to finish him with some sort of either a right cross as he's moving out of distance, out of range, fadeaway uppercut, as he angles off. Something like that's going to happen. But I think it's just the range that's going to give Fiziev problems. Fiziev is a very, very good man on the feet, man. Very good. But I just think the range and is going to give him problems. We saw that happen with Gaethje. Gaethje's a ranger guy, and we know Gaethje likes to dirty box, and that's kind of how he beat Fiziev. But if Gaethje's ducking under your punches and hitting you with uppercuts, I see Mauricio Huffy, who's very fast, very light on his feet, being able to slip a punch and catching you with the right cross, or as you blitz in, fadeaway right cross or a fadeaway uppercut or something like that's going to happen. And I think he puts you away. It might even be earlier than the third round. I'm just going to I'm going to respect Fiziev's striking. I think he's very high level, and I'm going to say that this ends early third round. On to the next. We got Tai Tuivasa versus Tallison Texeira. Now, Tallison Texeira is very rangy, very powerful, very. But you know what I've noticed is that he doesn't do well with guys, even on the contender series. He gets hit a lot, and that's what my problem is. That's why Derek Lewis was able to knock him the fuck out. We saw Derek Lewis land, knock him out. We know Tai Tuivasa has power. Tai Tuivasa hasn't won a fight in a very long time. I think he just got. Let's look. So Tai Tuivasa, he lost to Marcin Tybura. He lost to Rosenstrike. He lost to Volkov. He lost to Sergey. He lost to Cyril. Oh my God. He's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight loss streak. This might be a terrible, terrible decision. Picking. How is he still even in the UFC? I think it's because he's a fan favorite. That's why he's still in the UFC. He's on a 5 fight losing streak, bro. Goodness gracious, man. I remember one time people were thinking that Tai Tuivasa was about to be champ. Isn't that crazy? I never thought that. I never thought that. But 5 fight loss streak, man, it makes me really not want to pick him. But my thing is Tallison just is there to be hit. And I think Tai Tuivasa has a real power. And I think Tai Tuivasa understands that he needs to win this fight or he's probably going to get cut. Like, you can't lose 6 in a row and still be in the UFC, man. I don't care how many shoeys you want to do, that weird shit. I don't care about none of that. You can't lose 6 in a row and still be in the UFC, man. Yeah, I mean, you just can't. So, but this is probably going to be a mistake, to be honest. But I'm going to pick Tai Tuivasa because I think that Tallison Texeira is just there to be. He gets hit too much. Even on the Contender Series fight, he was getting tagged the fuck up until he caught that dude that he was fighting. And the dude that he was fighting was throwing these wild looping shots and was catching him. You know what I mean? And then Tallison Texeira obviously put him away, but we saw Derek Lewis put him away. I think that Tai Tuivasa is going to be very aggressive. He's going to understand that Tallison Texeira is there to be hit. He's going to understand that he's on a 5 outlaw streak and he can't lose another one. And I think Tai Tuivasa is going to get the KO here. Yeah, he's going to knock him the fuck out. Early. First round. Quillan Salkilld. How do you say it? Quillan Salkilld versus Jamie Mullarky. Now, I almost thought about this for a second, but Jamie Mullarky's been knocked out too many times, man. Way too many times, Even though he did very, very good in his last fight, it's just I've seen him get knocked out too many times, man. Too many times, I did not for a second think that he was going to beat Orlando Bedoya. I thought Bedoya was going to come in there and knock him out. Like Mullarky's been getting knocked out, and versus Mauricio, Ruffy, and all these guys are just coming in there and knocking him the fuck out. So I thought this was what was gonna happen. Here's the thing. Like, a part of me wants to say, but it's just like Quillan Salkilld is very well rounded, man. He's very, very, very well rounded. You know what I'm saying? If you think about the guys that he's fought, obviously he got the head kick KO versus Nasrat Haqparast. Now Nasrat is very good, right? Yanel Ashmoose, he out wrestles a very, very, very strong, good grappling, good wrestling Yanel Ashmoose. Anton Jubilee, we saw what he did to him. His timing is beautiful. The head kicks are there, the grapplings are, the wrestling is there, and he didn't just. Now, Yanel Ashmoose had him in trouble in the end of the fight, but he showed grit and toughness there, taking a lot of shots from Yanel. But majority of that fight, he was picking Yanel Ashmoose up and slamming him, man. Quillan Salkilld is very well rounded. If for some odd reason Jamie Mullarky is like, I don't know, tagging him up, he can take him down and just beat him up on the ground like he was versus Yanel Ashmoose. Quillan Salkilld is a good prospect, man. He's a very, very good prospect. We'll see how far he goes, but I think he should be able to handle Jamie Mullarky pretty easily, to be honest. So I'm going to go with Quillan Salkilld, second round TKO. You know what? First round TKO. Junior Tafa versus Billy Elekana. Billy Elekana's gonna take him down and submit him immediately. First round submission. Junior Tafa is not good. His brother's not good. I don't understand how you can possibly be this bad at wrestling. They're so bad. They're really, really terrible. When was the last time he even won a fight? I didn't even look at this guy's. Like, when was the last time he won a fight? Like, seriously. So he is on. He lost to Tokos, Sharaf. Oh, he beat Sharaf. Holy crap, he did beat Sharaf. Holy crap. So in the UFC, let me see here. 0-1, 1-1, 0-2, 0-3, 2-3. So he's 2-4 in the UFC. Moved down in division, lost weight, moved down in division. Finally decided to take his career seriously, moves down. And yeah, but Billy Elkanan is gonna. I mean, the Tafa brothers. All you have to do, a gust of wind could blow them over and take them down. To be honest, and going down to light heavy did not help. I mean, this he just has no grappling whatsoever. You know what I mean? And I think that's the same thing that's gonna happen. You know, Billy Elkanan is gonna take him down like he did that guy Christians. And he's gonna submit him in the first round. Kevin Christian. He's gonna take him down and submit him in the first round. Junior Toffer, like I don't even know how these guys are still in the UFC to be honest. Junior and Justin. The grappling is so like it's just so bad. I don't know. Cam Rowston. All right, so Cam Rowston versus Cody Brundage. Cam Rowston's a problem. He's a problem. Now, I will say this: we saw Cam Rowston get taken down by Torrez Finney in the Contender Series the first time around. Cody Brundage, I don't think is anywhere near the level of grappler of a Torrez Finney, and especially not in the way of chain wrestling. Like he's a good grappler, but I don't think that he can pick Cam Rowston up and slam him the amount of time. Like, I think Torres Finney must have landed like 8 or 9 takedowns. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but Cody Brundage is not doing that. Okay. Cam Rowston has also improved his takedown defense. We saw that in his last fight. Who did he fight again? He fought. Let me see here. Yeah, Andre Petrowski. Yes, I don't know how I forgot that, but you know, Andre Petrowski had a grappling heavy game plan, and we saw the improvements that Cam Rowston made. He was able to work his way back to his feet. Yeah, Cam Rowston is he's gonna be very good. I mean, the guy's a 78-inch reach. He's a what? So that's a 5-inch reach advantage on Cody Brundage. He has a 2-inch height advantage, and he uses his range very well, very well. Knocked Andre Petrowski up very badly, and I think the same thing's gonna happen. First round KO for Cam Rowston. He's gonna be dangerous in this division, man. Fights out of City Kickboxing, I believe. Um, yeah, he's dangerous, man. I mean, he has all the attributes for middleweight. You know, he's very rangy, long reach, improved takedown defense. Yeah, he's gonna be a real problem, man. You know, so yeah, I think this is gonna be a first round assassination. Pretty much a first round assassination. Um, and Cody Brundage will be taken out. On to the next one, Jacob Malkoun versus Torres Finney. Man, this is gonna be a grappling match. It's gonna be a very, very good grappling match. So listen, I think Torres Finney has a power advantage, or the power wrestling. So we'll see some slams. We'll see some, you know, oohs and ah slam moments. He's probably not gonna throw a single punch. Neither guy. I don't think a punch will be thrown. If a punch is thrown, we see Jacob Malkoun work behind that jab once he starts to settle into the fight. Jacob Malkoun's grappling is very, very, very good, man. It's very, very good. It is very good. I think it's very you know, I think a lot of people, I don't want to say overlook it, but if you're out grappling Brendan Allen at times, and I know Brendan Allen's fight IQ isn't the best, but if you're out grappling Brendan Allen, who just beat Arena de Ritter, who the number 5 in the division, Brendan Allen's very, very good. We've seen him have good grappling matches. You know, Fluffy. Brendan Allen really pushed Fluffy's grappling. And if he's doing able to do that to Fluffy, and Jacob Malkoun is able to at times outgrab that single leg slingshot to the ground is beautiful. I think that so we've seen Torrez City slow down a few times. You know, even versus Cam Rowston, he slowed down in the later in the fight a little bit. Started slowing down. He was just spamming takedowns. I think that eventually, because of how good Jacob Malkoun is at grappling, I think that Jacob Malkoun will uh, at some point be able to keep the fight standing. I don't think Torres Finney has a single ability to strike. I think Jacob Malcolm's gonna jab him up, jab him up, jab him up. I don't know about a finish. I think that Torres Finney is gonna survive to a decision, but I think he'll lose a 29-28 decision. I think it's gonna be a very fun match just because these guys are both great wrestlers. But I'm going Jacob Malkoun on this one, man. I think Malcolm. He also knocked out. Who did he knock out with his hip? I forgot. What was his name? We were just talking about him. My God, listen, Andre Petrowski. I can't remember anything, dude. The hell, man. I can't remember things. I can't remember things. Yeah, so Jacob Malkoun, I'm gonna say 29-28 decision. I think he's going to land probably like he's probably gonna triple Torres Finney on strikes. I could see Torres Finney throwing less than 25 strikes in this entire fight, to be honest. Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's what I got. Jonathan Micallef versus Oban Elliott. Um, yeah, I think Jonathan McAlpha's physicality is just way, way, way too much for Oban Elliott. Oban Elliott, Sohan Cole did him dirty. This way, the physicality there was just way too much for him. I think that Jonathan McAlpha is very physical guy. I think the physicality is there. Great kicks, very powerful, very very powerful. I think that did he knock out Kevin Duce? I will say this. He has what? They're the same height. He has a 5-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch leg reach advantage. That's the thing, because he was throwing up some leg kicks, head kicks against Kevin Duce. That was absolutely insane. I know it went to unanimous decision, but he was landing some bombs. I know he landed a few very hard leg kicks. I don't see Oban Elliott surviving. You know, um, Jonathan McAuliffe. One thing I remember from the Kevin Duce fight is that the output necessarily wasn't necessarily the highest. Let's see here. What was the strike count in this fight? So he threw 89 strikes to Kevin Duce 71. I know it was a lot of like controlling the octagon, the physicality. Um, so 85 of his 89 strikes were significant strikes. He had a knockdown in the fight. Yeah, he's just very big and big for the division, physically strong, and you could see it when he throws punches. The impact was just way more than what Kevin Duce was throwing back his way. And I actually thought Kevin Duce was going to win that fight, but Jonathan Micallef showed the physicality in the fight, and he's just a powerhouse for the division. I think he's going to knock out Oban Elliott brutally. Yeah, and I'm gonna go first round KO here. I don't think Oban Elliott's that good, man. He won his first 3 fights, but Sohan Ko just had his way with him, and Sohan Ko is I mean, he's just darting in with his chin up in the air. Like he's not very, Sohan Ko is Co Ken Ko is good, but not that good. You know what I mean? And he was out grappling Oban Elliott. Yeah, I think that Jonathan McAuliffe is just going to be able to keep the distance and use his reach and leg reach, his arm reach and leg reach advantage and destroy. He's going to catch Oban Elliott with a vicious head kick in the first round. I'm calling it now. Konofle. Konofle versus Yisa. I think Konofle. I think Yisa is going to stuff the takedowns. Who did I see Konofle fight? Yeah, Naimov and Santos, Myron Santos KO'd him. Naimov, he's hittable. His grappling is not the best. You know what I mean? He Ricardo Ramos he submitted, but he caught him with a rear naked choke. I don't think he's gonna catch Yiza. Yiza's powerful. I think he has good punching power. Yiza had a knockout in his last fight. I think he's gonna stuff the takedowns. He's gonna knock out Khan hopefully. I think this one will be pretty. I'm gonna say first round as well. I'm gonna say first round for Yiza. Yiza's a powerful guy, man. He's a fast twitch. I think he's able to stuff all takedown attempts. I don't think Kanofi's gonna have anything for him on the feet. He's not a very good striker. Yeah, I'm picking Yizhaba first round. First round TKO. Now, what did I have? I had some notes here. Yeah, I mean his legs were getting chewed up by Myron Santos. Uh, yeah, he's just not very good. So on to the next one. We have got Sang. I think this is what Sang. Let's go back here. My bad. I'm pressing buttons and I shouldn't be pressing. So we got Sangwook versus Don Marcan. Don Marfan. So Sangwook versus Don Marfan. So Don Marfan, 5'11", 25 years old, 75-inch reach advantage. I think this is a finale to Road to UFC. So Don Marfan has six finishes in his 10 fights. Most of them are rear naked chokes. So he had a unanimous decision on both his road to UFC wins. He fought a guy named Jae Hyung Park, and he got a nice double leg, controlled him. This is gonna be a grappling. Both of these guys are good grapplers. Sangwook Kim, he's 32, 6 foot, 71-inch reach. So Dan Marfan has the 4-inch reach advantage. Siang Wook Kim has 5 KOs and 4 submissions. So good grappler, but he's a lot more offensive in my opinion with his when he's got the fight on the ground. He's going for submissions. He's much more of a jiu-jitsu threat on the ground. He has a in the road to UFC. He has a crucifix KO. He had a rear naked choke. I think it was. I think it was a rear naked choke. In his when he fought in his when he fought Yahweh Ren or something like that. I think it was a rear naked choke. But he really presses forward. Sangwoo Kim, he really presses forward until he gets you in trouble and he's able to shoot on you. And once he gets you on the ground, he's going to try and submit you. He looked like the better striker of the two. Don Marfan didn't have much in the way of striking. He was much more of just like the wrestling, trying to get the fight to the ground. But Sangwook Kim was landing some nice 1-2s when I saw him fight Yahweh Ren. Um, yeah, he had a nasty body shot that buckled Yahweh Ren. Actually no, Yahweh Ren hit him with the body shot, but he was able to recover and basically Sang Wook Kim is much more offensive on the feet and on the ground than Dam Marfan. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Sang Wook Kim by submission in the second round. Okay. On to the next one. We've got Sebastian Cizale. Sebastian Sele versus Kyoichiro Nakamura. Okay. Um, so basically, Sebastian Sisley. So from what I watched, he got a KO on Contender Series with a really nice 1-2 down the middle. He's a decision merchant though for the most part. He caught dude very very well with that. But he likes to work the bodies. I did go back and watch some of his regional scene fights. He works the body very very well. He likes to work the body, and he uses that to slow guys down. Um, Kichiro Nakamura, uh, I believe he's 5'10", so he has the height and reach advantage. He's won 6 of his 8 fights were KOs. including the one on Road to UFC. He had a nice knee up the middle, man. Oh my God, it was vicious. A nice knee up the middle when he fought this guy named Lee Kai Wan. Kai Wen. The fight was back and forth. Both men were rocking each other throughout the fight. He did, he has the ability to take you down. Um, he likes to advance. He's very aggressive moving forward. He throws hard kicks. He mixes it up well, step and elbows. He's just very dynamic. And Sebastian Sele, he's not bad, but I just think that Kiichiro, he doesn't have the KO power for a guy like Kiichiro Nakamura that's going to be pressing forward, trying to finish him with each and every shot. I think that Kiichiro Nakamura is going to beat Sebastian Sisley. All right, so on to the next one. We've got Su Langrangbo versus Lawrence Lui. These names are gonna kill me, man. Sulam Gambro versus Lawrence Lui. So listen, Lawrence Lui, he's 27 years old. He's 5'7", 72-inch reach, right? Sulang Grangbo is 5'9", 20. He's 20 years old. He has a 6'6" inch reach. So Lawrence Lui has a reach advantage. 8 fights. So four of his 8 fights he won by KO. One of which was on a UFC Road to UFC. And he had a unanimous decision. He fights out of City Kickboxing. Um, we know Izzy and all those guys fight over there, and you know, he likes to pressure forward, man. Lawrence Louis gonna pressure forward. Um, yeah, I think I saw him fight a guy named Van Nguyen, right? And he's just a lot of forward pressure before he was able to KO him. He looks slow in my opinion versus compared to Sulang Grangbo. Um, but yeah, I think that Sulang Grangbo is the much more he's much faster. Um, he's harder to hit. He has a lot of power, right? So he lost his like I think early 3 fights early in his career, but he's been on a 9 fight win streak since 6 wins by KO, one by submission. He has a first round KO in the Road to UFC. Very very fast, man. He's very fast. I think he's gonna have too much of a speed advantage for Lawrence Louis. I think he's gonna knock him out. I'm gonna say early second round knockout. Yeah, he's very very fast. I don't like the reach disadvantage that he has, but I think that he's way more technical. Way his defensive striking is his defense is much better. I think he's gonna be able to slip shots, and he's gonna knock out Lawrence Louis based on what I've saw. Okay, on to the next one. I do believe this is the last fight. Aaron Tao versus Namsare Bayar. All right, so Aaron Tao is very 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 powerful. So he's 32 years old. I think he fights out of City Kickboxing. Yeah, he fights out of City Kickboxing. Very heavy feint game. 66-inch reach. He's 5'4". Um, heavy feint game, man. A lot of forward pressure. Um, yeah. He lost to Elijah Smith on the Contender Series, but Elijah Smith's very good. Now he's back on the road to UFC. He has 7 of his 11 wins by KO. Pressures you, powerful. Namsre Bayar, he's 25 years old, 5'4", 68-inch reach. So he has the reach advantage, and they're the same height. He's very aggressive striker, but he has the ability to submit you. Wild looping shots. I think that Aaron Tao is just going to be is a little bit more composed. He's going to pick his shots better. I think he's going to knock him out, man. I think he's going to knock out Namsre Bayar. That's what I think is gonna happen. Yeah, Aaron Tao. I don't think he's great, but I think for this fight he gets the KO here. And I'm gonna pick probably like a first round KO. He did have a 90-second KO on the road to UFC, where he like blitzed the guy and just beat the shit out of him, mounted him and just finished him. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Aaron Tao for this win, and yeah, that is all you got, baby. We're pumping out the videos, baby. We'll see what happens tomorrow if I get my license back. If my if my debit card comes in the mail in time, I can go get my license and, you know. But until then, we gonna be pumping out these videos, man. We gonna be pumping out these videos. So, yeah, that's all I got for the breakdown. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, remember to follow my boy Daywalker MMA. Yeah, excited for this fight card. 2 weeks in a row, two numbered events. The Volk hope. We'll see what happens with Volk, man. If Volk retires, I hope he doesn't retire on Diego Lopez, a 2 fight win streak on a Diego Lopez. That wouldn't be a bad way to go. Diego Lopez who just got an insane win versus Gene Silva. His stock rose there. So that's a good win. That win aged well for Volkanovski. And yeah, man. So yeah, big pay-per-view coming up. A lot of interesting fights. A lot of fights that are gonna dictate a lot of what happens in um, a lot of these divisions. And yeah, excited to see what happens. It's your boy. Until next time. I already said that. Bye.